Hurricane Dorian impacting the Virgin Islands. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, August 28th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. A 16-hour curfew is in effect in the British Virgin Islands as Hurricane Dorian bears down on the territory, already causing damage. The curfew took effect at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, and Governor Augustus Jaspert said it would end either at 6 a.m. on Thursday or until an all-clear is issued, as he warned that the system posed a real threat to the British overseas territory. He said police would be patrolling the streets to enforce the curfew. The governor's announcement came when Dorian was still a storm, but the 2 p.m. advisory from the Miami-based National Hurricane Center indicated that Dorian had become a Category 1 hurricane near St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, with maximum sustained winds near 75 miles per hour at that point. In the latest advisory issued at 5 p.m., though, Dorian had intensified further, with maximum sustained winds reaching near 80 miles per hour. The hurricane was located about 45 miles northwest of St. Thomas and moving towards the northwest at 14 miles per hour. Dorian also dumped heavy rains on St. Thomas and impacted the territory with high winds. There were multiple observations of hurricane-force winds in the island, and an elevated weather station on Buck Island, just south of St. Thomas, reported sustained winds of 82 miles per hour and a gust of 111 miles per hour. The hurricane is expected to move away from the U.S. and British Virgin Islands during the next several hours and then move on to the Atlantic, well east of the southeastern Bahamas on Thursday and Friday. Forecasters say it looks like it will become a powerful hurricane during the next few days over the Atlantic waters. While Dorian caused a heavy flooding when it passed Martinique as a tropical storm on Tuesday, while the system largely spared islands in the eastern Caribbean as it passed Monday night and Tuesday morning, there was substantial rainfall in Martinique. Dorian left behind flooded streets and downed trees as it passed the French island. Among some of the other damage caused was a road collapse in a town in the southern end of the island. Flash flooding was also reported across that town. In other news, the joint trade union movement, JTUM, in Trinidad and Tobago is standing behind trade unionist Watson Duke, who was detained on Monday by police, allegedly over statements he made several months ago. Duke, who is president of the Public Services Association, complained of feeling unwell after being taken into custody, and he was taken to hospital, but he was discharged on Wednesday and taken back into police custody. Speaking to the media after visiting Duke on Tuesday, JTUM leader Ansel Roger charged that his detention was politically motivated. TTT's Ian Wilson reports.
JTUM leader Ansel Roger says the government is attacking the trade union movement and they will not sit idly by and let it happen. He called it a frontal attack on the trade unions, and police are just being used as tools.
When you examine the claims that we heard that he is accused of making seditious statements, we found it to be very frivolous.
He said Watson Duke's detention is just a start and others would be targeted. He further stated the action would not be tolerated.
It is about understanding that all of us are workers, are in the same boat. It is understanding that the government is against the trade union movement, and any trade union leader finds himself or herself under attack in this era of spite and vindictiveness must be responded to as a matter of duty by all serious trade unionists. Yeah?
President of the All Trinidad General Workers Trade Union, Nuvan Maraj, also an attorney, sees nothing wrong with Mr. Duke's statements, for which he is allegedly being questioned.
In my capacity as an attorney at law, I myself would have looked at this statement on social media, or the alleged statement, and I see nothing that indicates malice, ill will, or the intent to incite ill will within the populace.
Mr. Rouget cited Mr. Duke's political aspirations as one of the reasons for his detention.
Well, the party which Duke leads says it will not be distracted by the development. The trade unionist is head of the Progressive Democratic Patriots and the minority leader of the Tobago House of Assembly. His party colleague, Assemblyman Farley Augustine, says he's awaiting the outcome of police investigations.
The reports we are getting is that this is a matter of sedition, meaning that they are looking at a statement that he would have made to see if the intent was to incite some violent uprising against the government or against the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. Once one isn't libelous or slanderous, freedom of speech must be sacrosanct, must be sacred, and it must be held as such. But at this juncture, we would want to leave the police officers to do whatever investigations and interview.
And amid the charges from the unions that Duke's detention was politically motivated, Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has insisted that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service is an independent body and operates fairly and without bias. His comments also came on the heels of opposition legislator Dr. Ruda Munilal warning that anyone who criticizes the government will be persecuted, and there are more arrests to come. We get more in this TTT News report.
Dr. Munilal was speaking at the UNC's Monday night forum in Debe.
They will play the race card, which is their final card. And as a totalitarian government, I warn you, watch for arrests of religious leaders, political opponents. As I speak to you now, trade union leader and minority leader in the Tobago House of Assembly, Watson Duke is being questioned by the police. Today, tomorrow, he could be charged for making statements.
The UNC MP said such are the actions of a dictator.
Persons who make statements against this government now face persecution on charges of sedition and treason and all that type of thing. That is the work of dictatorship.
In a release, Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith said it was reckless and irresponsible of Dr. Munilal to suggest that the TTPS can be directed, manipulated or influenced by any political party to engage in wrongdoing. Commissioner Griffith assured that citizens have a democratic right to voice their concerns, but he said it does not give any citizen the ultimate right to do anything which could affect national security or to break the law.
The Bahamas Doctors Union, the BDU, has given notice it intends to seek a vote on strike action to press for resolution of outstanding issues. This is even as the government moved to end their strike by filing the matter with the Industrial Tribunal. Labour Minister Dion Folk had said he had referred the dispute to the tribunal as he said it had affected and threatened the public interest. And once the matter is referred to the tribunal, anyone participating in the strike must stop immediately until the panel makes a ruling. But the BDU president says the union will strike on other unresolved issues unrelated to their current strike action.
This may be a small battle that seemingly they have won, but the war is still being waged, and we will not stop.
After nearly a week of striking, junior doctors were directed to return to work yesterday, as the matter has been referred to the Industrial Tribunal. At a press conference today, Bahamas Doctors Union President Dr. Melisande Bassett said the union will call for strike votes for other matters that have yet to be addressed.
Strike vote on these one-year contracts that you're trying to impose on us illegally. You have no right to do that. Why do you want to relegate us to a 52-weeker? We're going to file a trade dispute on your removal of the interns' housing and their housing allowance. We're going to call for strike action on the fact that you refuse to pay the at least 15 or 20 of our doctors that work for the Department of Health the raises that they're owed or the allowances that they're owed. And this has been going on for at least 5 years. You don't want to talk to us at the table? We will use the legal means that are afforded to us to make you answer these questions and resolve these matters.
But that's not all.
The practice of firing people when they complain about you releasing their personal data, that will stop. We will seek for strike action on that. We still have doctors without a job because you fired them when they complained that you all released their personal file to another body, which was illegal.
And despite an order demanding the doctors to return to work, lawyer Obi Ferguson said neither Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands or Labor Minister Dion Folks has the power to call this strike off.
That tribunal has no powers to deal with your bargaining impasse. That's not Obi Ferguson's view, that's the Court of Appeals' view. So even if they're successful in getting an injunction, the first question certainly I would ask the court, sending me there, is there a mechanism in place to allow you to make a decision where there's a bargaining impasse between the parties?
Physician Staff Association President Dr. Loxley Monroe said the consultants stand with the junior doctors.
That report from Eyewitness News in the Bahamas. Still to come, Caribbean countries advised to quickly negotiate a new agreement with Britain post-Brexit. We'll be right back.
When you think of what we went through with Hurricane Irma, you had to be able to recognize what are the things we need to do to cope with the aftermath. The psychological trauma, to me, is probably the most telling on a lot of people.
Preparedness is the key. So when people are prepared, when people have what their resources in terms of how they can cope with the disaster, they're better able to be able to return to their normal life. They're better able to make decisions that are informed for themselves and for their family, and then for their community. Be ready. Look, listen, and link.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Welcome back. CARICOM countries are being urged to quickly negotiate a new trade agreement with the United Kingdom as that country moves to leave the European Union. The advice comes from the Secretary General of the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group, Dr. Patrick Gomes. Britain is due to leave the European Union on October 31st this year, with or without a Brexit deal. And Gomes tells CMC News he believes the Caribbean needs to have relations with both the UK and wider Europe in the post-Brexit era.
To negotiate as part of a relationship between the CARICOM and the UK post-Brexit, how we will have trade, how we will link with development finance, and what will be the other political conditions. So it will be a subject for negotiation on certain areas. There may not be areas such as sugar, but there may be areas related to small and medium enterprise. There may be areas that we will have to specify and put on the table. Therefore, the discussions on that have already begun by looking at the areas in which UK's development finance that goes into the EDF have been covering. One of which has been a lot to do with governance. They want to look at human rights. They want to look at how you can capacity building, private sector reform, public sector reform. They've had a lot of social security issues that we deal with. So we will have to negotiate on the basis of proposals we want to put forward with a fixed amount. But the rollover of the trade agreement is already been considered through CARICOM, so that duty-free, quota-free, and all the phytosanitary regulations that are applicable to Europe will not be punitive on the Caribbean, but will be along the same lines. So both the trade relations post-Brexit and the development finance post-Brexit will have to be negotiated.
This week in Newsline Business, Guyana anticipates more earnings from oil exploration over the next few years. There are calls for cocoa farmers in Grenada to be more innovative as global prices fall, and the head of Guyana's private sector organization wants the country to prepare for a possible global recession. Marie-Claire Williams has the details.
The Guyana Goldfields Incorporated is anticipating revenue of $25 million in the first 3 years of exploration. The announcement follows successful underground explorations at the GGI's Northwest Mazaruni location. Senior Vice President Perry Holloway said work began after the GGI secured clearance from both the Environmental Protection Agency and the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission. He said the EPA's clearance gives the company up to 2,500 meters of underground exploration as well as test mining for 300,000 tons of ore. Natural Resources Minister Raphael Trotman says he is happy with the current progress at the company. The GGI owns Aurora Gold Mines, one of the largest in Guyana, with an estimated reserve of 6.54 million ounces of gold. Falling cocoa prices on the global market have impacted the industry in Grenada over the past year, and Agriculture Minister Yolande Bain-Hosford wants farmers to adopt more innovative and climate-smart agriculture practices to enhance their earnings. Bain-Hosford was addressing a meeting of cocoa farmers in St. George's earlier this week.
A 20% reduction in dry cocoa as compared to last year must be of concern for GCA. While it was believed that such decrease in production was due to the negative impact by adverse weather conditions, farmers are encouraged to adopt climate-smart agriculture approaches in the face of the challenges of climate change. Some of the climate-smart agriculture approaches which have been advanced include, among others, organic mixed cocoa plantations, construction of deep drains, construction of windbreaks, rainwater harvesting.
The head of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, Dr. Wayne Henry, says policy certainty is needed to safeguard the country against another global economic recession. He told reporters in Kingston that key among these are continued strengthening of the macroeconomic environment, creating the appropriate social safety nets for vulnerable citizens, and facilitating product and market diversification. Henry's comments come amid concerns over the possibility of a recession over the short to medium term and its likely impact on Jamaica's economy. Marie-Claire Williams, Newsline Business.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, young Jamaican sprint star Brianna Williams tests positive for a banned drug. Stay with us, sport is next.
Tobago is seeking to once again become a primary food producer in the country. And with agriculture getting a boost, it's the perfect timing for the island to co-host the 33rd West Indies Agricultural Economics Conference. The conference, an initiative of the Caribbean Agro-Economic Society, concluded recently at the Mount Irving Bay Resort. The event was started in 1965 to assist the region in developing linkages, ideas that will support sustainable agriculture.
Topping our midweek sports, media reports out of Jamaica are confirming the identity of the athlete who tested positive for using a banned substance weeks before the country is set to take center stage at the World Championships. Double world sprint champion Brianna Williams will take the stand at an anti-doping hearing in a matter of weeks. In this report by TVJ's Keon Rayner, we hear that Williams' attorney is unhappy about how the whole situation has unfolded.
Tuesday confirmed that Brianna Williams' B sample has confirmed the A sample as being positive for the banned diuretic hydrochlorothiazide. Both those samples were tested at the WADA-accredited lab in Montreal, Canada. Hydrochlorothiazide is a diuretic used by some athletes to lose weight or mask the use of anabolic steroids. Pending a disciplinary hearing, Williams, who clocked a yet-to-be-ratified national junior record of 10.94 seconds to place third in the 100 meters at the National Senior Trials, could now miss the IAAF World Championships in Doha, Qatar, between September 27 and October 7. Contacted by TVJ Sports Tuesday afternoon, Canadian-based sports attorney Dr. Emir Crown confirmed he had been retained to represent young Williams in the case, but expressed disappointment that details of her case was in the public domain.
This is one of those matters that, because we're dealing with a minor and because there was no, at least, communication to the athlete about the B sample, that the very public revealing of her adverse A sample finding, that shouldn't have been released till at least there was a positive confirmation of the B sample. And again, we're dealing with a minor here. It wouldn't have been anyone's preference for her name to be bandied about before there was any such public finding, at least with respect to her B sample.
When contacted by telephone Tuesday morning, Alexander Williams, who chairs the Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission, declined comment on any doping matter. Crown intends to argue that the banned substance was contained in a contaminated over-the-counter medication for a cold and flu, which was declared on her doping control form.
I can confirm that we have done independent tests on and over-the-counter cold medication that the athlete took. And the independent test confirmed the presence of a diuretic, and the diuretic was not listed amongst the ingredients in that cold medicine.
It is understood that the matter will now be heard by the local independent anti-doping disciplinary panel. Under the World Anti-Doping Agency and IAAF rules, the athlete is facing the possibility of a maximum 4-year ban for a first offense if she is found guilty.
It is genuinely a case where she bears, I would suggest, no fault at all in the situation for something that was beyond her control, but beyond anyone's control, really. There was no way to know that a diuretic would find its way into over-the-counter cold medicine.
Turning to cricket now, Jamora Hamilton has been called up to the West Indies team for the decisive second test against India after Shane Dowrich was ruled out of the series with an ankle injury. Dowrich sat out the opening test at the Vivian Richards Cricket Ground in Antigua last week when the host suffered a 318-run defeat in 4 days as Shea Hope stood in with the gloves. With Dowrich now returning to Barbados to continue his recovery, Hamilton has been included in the 13-man squad announced on Tuesday. The uncapped 28-year-old Leeward Islands Hurricanes gloveman has played 80 first-class matches and accumulated 173 dismissals. He averages 26 with the bat and has scored 6 hundreds. Meanwhile, Kimo Paul has returned to the squad after recovering from the ankle injury that kept him out of the series opener. Fast bowler Miguel Cummins, who replaced him, has been dropped after a forgettable display in Antigua where he failed to take a single wicket in 20 overs. The two changes are the only ones to the Windies side as they go in search of a series-leveling victory in the match starting Friday at Sabina Park in Jamaica. To the women's game, Trinidadian off-spinner Anisa Mohammed has been included in the 13-member West Indies women's squad selected to play the three-match ODI series against Australia. Mohammed last played international cricket for the West Indies in the away tour against Pakistan in February. She's currently the 5th highest ODI wicket taker in women's cricket with 146 wickets, and she brings a wealth of experience to the Stephanie Taylor-led team. Kishona Knight, also included in the squad, adds to that experience, having been a part of the ICC T20 Women's World Cup winning squad of 2016, as well as 19-year-old Guyanese medium pacer Shabika Gunabi, who's set to make her debut for the regional side. But Shakira Selman, Shadeen Nation and Shemaine Campbell have all been ruled out due to injury. CWI's interim chairman of selectors, Robert Haynes, says the injuries to the senior players have given them the opportunity to select Gunabi and Karishma Ramharak in an effort to give the captain more options in the bowling department. The three-match series starts on September 5th in Antigua. And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
After an emergency, you can help yourself and others by looking, listening, and linking. Looking because you want to see if the person has some signs that is in distressing. Looking for the symptoms, how best you can support the person. And then listening, because listening is very important. Listening with your ears, listening with your eyes. If you do that well, then you'll be able to link them to the appropriate resources.
Be ready, look, listen, and link.
We know about hell in a cell, it's a rage in a cage. Gladiators them got words in the head, cause they done put pen to the page. And we now come sing with no violence, curse word when we done tend to the stage. So shout out the big man who put the whole thing together, put it down, elevate. Truth is, boy, I done been training. Touch stage and a dum plating. Swag tough, gotta raise your gazing. Lyric clean like I just done bathing. Nothing normal, this is ab. Hit my opponents with a jab. Punchline from the first line. Got Scuddy throwing up his hands. Leon and Juba about to dance.
A recap of the day's major developments now. Hurricane Dorian impacting the Virgin Islands, and in sport, young Jamaican sprinter Brianna Williams to appear at an anti-doping hearing in a matter of weeks after testing positive for a banned drug. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again tomorrow, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night.